Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8 p.m. on LA56.
A terrifying bus ride in Lincoln Heights. A man wearing a surgical mask claims to have Ebola.
Is she alive? And he said barely.
An elderly woman vanishes from her Fairfax district home and is found years later in a shack in Maine. Now we're learning the story of how she got there.
A quiet Pasadena neighborhood is rocked by a deadly double stabbing. The victims, a popular chef and his wife. Good evening. I'm Colleen Sullivan.
I'm Mark Brown in for David Ono. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56. An Ebola scare on a metro bus after a man in a surgical mask gets on board telling the driver he has Ebola. Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell is live in Lincoln Heights, where the bus had to be quarantined. She has the latest on the search for this suspect. And he is a suspect, right, Amy?
That's right, Mark. Now, let me tell you what's going on with the bus involved in this incident. Right now, it's being kept in a separate area of this metro yard. And officials tell us, they think it's likely that this was all a hoax, but the person responsible for this could be in big trouble because officials regard what he did as making a terrorist threat. Now, Metro spokesman says the driver was instructed to bring his bus to this lot where it was sequestered. After the disturbing incident, the driver was quarantined with the bus for about 2 hours. He was examined by paramedics and found to be in good health, but was transferred to a hospital at his own request as a precaution. Metro says this all started around 1:45 this afternoon when a man wearing a surgical mask, accompanied by a woman who had no mask, got on Metro's number 33 bus at Venice and Hoover. The man leaned into the bus driver and said, quote, "Don't mess with me because I have Ebola." Now, those two people sat down and the driver alerted the operations center but continued driving his route.
After about 7 minutes, the man and woman got off the bus at Venice and Western. But before getting off the bus, the man took off his mask and threw it onto the floor of the bus. Now, we have that mask and we'll be examining it.
Passengers were let off the bus at Venice and Western before the bus was brought to the yard. Metro officials told us earlier that they have not yet entered the bus, but when they do, they will retrieve the bus's security video and examine it for any clues that will help them find the suspect. And that suspect, once again, is now accused of making a terrorist threat. And back out here live, Metro officials say this is a crime, so if they find that suspect, he will be prosecuted. But again, they believe it's likely that this all was a big hoax. Reporting live in Lincoln Heights, Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Amy, thank you. Meantime, growing fears and a growing mystery in Dallas. We now know the identity of the nurse who came down with Ebola. Also tonight, a new possible case of Ebola out of Kansas City. Hospital officials say a patient in his 50s who recently worked on a medical boat off the west coast of Africa is now in isolation.
It's encouraging because Ebola has different steps that it goes through, different phases, that I would characterize his treatment, if he does indeed have it, is fairly early on, and I'd like to think that we can reverse it and stop his symptoms from progressing and just getting better. But we'll know a whole lot more tomorrow at the end of the day.
As the new possible Ebola case is being determined, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is trying to figure out how 26-year-old Nina Pham contracted Ebola. The Dallas nurse was part of the team caring for Ebola patient Thomas Eric Duncan, but Pham wore the mandated mask, gown, shield, and gloves. Health officials say they are closely evaluating the removal of personal protective gear.
If it is contaminated, there's the possibility that a worker will contaminate themselves and become infected in that process. As
Pham receives treatment, her dog will be monitored for the virus.
We do know that dogs can become infected with Ebola. We don't know whether dogs can spread it to people.
Hazmat crews are also back out decontaminating Pham's apartment for the second day. Meantime, the Ebola epidemic is causing scares for airline passengers. In Boston, medical crews in hazmat suits responded from a flight arriving from Dubai. This is new video from a passenger on board the Emirates flight after 5 passengers had become sick with flu-like symptoms. None of them had come from West Africa. All have now been cleared. At LAX, officials also taking the threat of Ebola very seriously. Emergency responders met a United Airlines flight out of New York's JFK yesterday. A woman on board the flight had been reportedly vomiting and exhibiting flu-like symptoms. The flight was diverted to a remote runway. Officials say a misunderstanding about her recent travels to Africa, combined with the passenger apparently being airsick, prompted the concerns. She was also cleared.
And the director of the CDC says there could be additional cases of Ebola out of Dallas. About 70 hospital staffers were involved in the care of Thomas Eric Duncan, who died from Ebola last week. We've also learned that Dr. Kent Brantley, who recovered from Ebola, has donated blood in hopes of helping Nina Pham recover. Meantime, ABC News Washington Post poll, 65% of Americans say they're concerned about an Ebola epidemic developing here in the United States, and 64% think the federal government should do more to prevent that from happening.
A local chef and his wife are dead after a double stabbing in the 200th block of North Madison Avenue in Pasadena. Business associates have identified the victims as Larry Bressler, an instructor for the Chef Center, and his wife. Authorities say Bressler called 911 himself about 6:30 this morning, telling police he and his wife had been stabbed a number of times by a family member. Officers found the suspect about a block away from the scene and the crime scene and took him into custody. No word yet on what led to the stabbing. A public memorial service tonight for Bell Gardens Mayor Daniel Crespo. There's been a steady stream of mourners at the Rose Hills Memorial Chapel in Whittier as friends and family say their final farewell to Crespo. Friends say Crespo had a kind heart and just wanted to help the community.
He was a nice person with the people in the community. He helped other people. I pray for him. I want to hold his hand and say, "Hi, my friend."
Crespo was shot and killed allegedly by his wife in their home last month.
Spartacus, the pit bull, continues to recover after being beaten with a shovel and reportedly stabbed. This is investigators reveal this is likely a case of self-defense versus cruelty. The Ghetto Rescue Foundation helped Spartacus owner get him to the hospital early Saturday morning after his owner said her neighbor hit the dog over the head with a shovel and slashed him several times with a knife, apparently because the neighbor didn't like pit bulls. But investigators say they have spoken to several witnesses who claim the dog was in attack mode and the man was defending himself. Despite his injuries, the vets say Spartacus is still incredibly loving towards humans.
Even though he was cut open and bleeding, he was still kissing everybody, loving on them. It's almost like he was more concerned about saying hi to everyone than he was about his own wound.
Well, the LAPD Animal Cruelty Task Force says they have identified the person who did this to Spartacus, and the investigation is ongoing.
An elderly woman vanishes from her Fairfax district home and is found years later in a shack in Maine. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Grande explains how she got there.
The mystery started in 2008 when Sarah Chiker disappeared. She was 89 at the time, and some assume she died. But she is alive. She was discovered 2 years ago, living in a rundown, dirty cabin in the town of Edgecombe in the state of Maine.
She didn't know who she was. She kept asking for Nicholas and Barbara. And you asked me, do you know who those people are? And I said, those are the people who, as far as I know, took her.
Jim Cacavo was her neighbor and worried when she was suddenly gone. She used to live here on Edinburgh Avenue. A short time after her disappearance, county records show her house was sold for $712,000. After that, her home was torn down and a new one built on the lot.
By that time, I think they were already out of the state with her. And I heard nothing for the next 3 or 4 years.
Now investigators have pieced together what they believe occurred. Officials in Maine arrested 3 people, twins Barbara Davis and Nicholas Davis, and their godson Jonathan Stevens. They were charged with endangering the welfare of a dependent person. According to the prosecutor in that case, he believes the trio simply knocked at random on Chiker's door one day while she was living here in Los Angeles and befriended her. They reportedly spent her money as they moved across the country to Maine.
She was quite angry. She was quite upset because she said she had been kidnapped and she did not sign anything. She's not settled her house.
Cacavo says when Chiker was found, her living conditions were deplorable, but now she's in an assisted living center. Carlos Grande, ABC7, Eyewitness News.
In Maine, the suspects only got probation because the charges there were endangerment of a dependent person. Authorities say they cannot look into the allegations that Shaker might have been swindled because that would have happened here in California. It will now be up to the FBI to decide whether to look into those charges.
A Southgate police officer is recovering after being injured in a high-speed chase that ended in Kansas and Truba Avenues in Southgate. The suspect's pickup truck collided with the officer's patrol car. The officer was trapped inside his car, and firefighters had used the jaws of life to get him out. He and the suspect were taken to the hospital in stable condition. The injured officer was helping another officer who was pursuing the stolen truck. And
great news to report about a Temecula boy who suffered a serious electric shock at his backyard birthday party. Words of joy from his parents who say he is awake and breathing on his own. Elijah Belden turns 10 years old today. His parents announced Elijah's breathing tubes have been removed and he is speaking with family members. He was put in a medically induced coma after suffering the shock on October 4th at an early birthday celebration. He apparently touched a metal patio cover that has been electrified. There's reportedly no damage to Elijah's heart or his brain.
Well, let's move gears to our weather now. It was pretty comfortable outside. We had some marine layer move in this morning. Jonathan?
Yeah, you were paying attention?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some clouds this morning. We'll once again have those tomorrow. In fact, marine layer is going to thicken up over the next couple of days. You're going to wake up to clouds, and it's going to be a little tough to get rid of those, even for some of the inland spots. Today was 82 in downtown. Normally we're at 79, a little above average. It was a beautiful day. Clouds have already rolled into the coast. Long Beach, cloudy, 69 degrees. Some of the inland areas like Riverside are still clear. 70 for you right now in Riverside. 69 in Palmdale, 54 Wrightwood, cool. Big Bear, 58, and 86 in Palm Springs. We've got some big changes ahead here in the next couple of days. Temperatures like this are going to kind of go away. They'll be more like the afternoon highs, almost at least, for some of us as we go into the next 48 hours. Day planning for tomorrow, wake you up to 63 degrees, some fog at the coast. Cooler, that should say cooler, not colder. 66 by 9 a.m. and by noon, we're at 74. Much more mild tomorrow, and it's even cooler on Wednesday. Tell you about that coming up in the 70 forecast.
Looking forward to that colder weather.
I love it.
All right, thanks a lot. At least 4 ISIS militants have been killed in the northern Syrian town of Kobani. Islamic militants are carrying out a 3-pronged attack from the town's eastern side. This comes a day after Kurdish fighters managed to slow the advance of the Islamic State extremist group. The U.S.-led coalition has been carrying out airstrikes there for more than 2 weeks. U.S. officials say the airstrikes have done little to stop ISIS militants because of their changing tactics.
ISIS is blending in to parts of the disenfranchised Sunni population, and the enemy adapts, and they'll be harder to target. Yeah, they know how to maneuver and how to use populations and concealment.
ISIS also continues to threaten Baghdad, coming within 15 miles of the Baghdad airport. To force the retreat of those ISIS fighters, the U.S. had to call in Apache attack helicopters for the first time.
North Korea's mysterious leader Kim Jong-un has made his first public appearance in 40 years. So says the North Korean news agency, but there were no new pictures of Kim. The 31-year-old dictator has recently been seen limping, leading to speculation he has a leg injury. Kim reportedly paid a visit to a new housing complex for scientists as well as a natural energy institute. There was no information on when those visits took place and no explanation for how long for his absence.
Up next here at 8, a school bus filled with students. The bus driver suspected of being under the influence. We'll show you what happened next.
Plus, a powerful storm slams into Japan, injuring dozens. Where it's heading now?
And the creepy clowns of Kern County. What started with one person in a costume has set off an alarming trend of scary characters wandering the streets after dark. Now police are getting involved. Stay with us. A school bus driver in Utah is under arrest, accused of driving under the influence of prescription medication. His bus was swerving in and out of its lane. ABC's Clayton Sandell has the video and the 911 calls from terrified passengers.
The calls flooded in from drivers who knew something was wrong.
Whoever drives this thing can't maintain a lane.
That thing, a school bus speeding down this Utah highway today, carrying nearly 80 elementary school kids and adults on a field trip.
Could be a school bus swerving all over.
One of the worried callers?
We are concerned with our bus driver.
A chaperone on the bus.
She can't stay in the lane. She's crossing the double lines, and the adults are getting scared.
What happened?
She almost hit the ground next to us.
When troopers finally caught up, they say 39-year-old bus driver Licia Martinez failed roadside tests. She was arrested for driving under the influence of as many as 4 prescription medications.
On those prescription bottles, it says, do not operate heavy machinery, do not drive, could cause drowsiness, dizziness, all that stuff. If it causes those symptoms, you need to not.
Nobody was hurt in Utah, and most bus rides are safe. More than 25 million kids take them every day, 20 times safer than getting a ride with a parent. But at the end of the day, safety depends on that person behind the wheel. Clayton Sandell, ABC News, Denver.
The latest and strongest in a string of powerful storms to hit Japan is now moving across that country. Tropical storm Bongfang, just downgraded from a typhoon, could reach Tokyo area early Tuesday. The storm is being blamed for at least 37 injuries. Hundreds of thousands of people have been advised to evacuate, and both train service and flights have been disrupted.
All right, Jonathan Novak is here now. Our weather changing up a little bit.
We've got some rain in the forecast, guys. Maybe some drizzle possible. You gotta love it. Fall finally took its time, but better late than never. It's here. Yeah, temperatures are going to be plummeting. In fact, as we go through the next 2 days, I love this, and I hope you do too, because we get a couple of days of it before things get to normal. But we want to take a look first at what's going on in the eastern portion of the country, up through the Midwest, the Southeast. Severe weather all day, really strong storms, tornado warnings all the way from Louisiana up toward Ohio, and these are all lightning strikes that we see here on that live Mega Doppler, 7,000 HD, thousands over the day, the course of the day with severe weather there. Let's head to the West Coast. Some rain up around Seattle and Portland. That's associated with a system that's going to affect our weather over the next 2 days. It's going to bring our temperatures down. It's going to bring us a chance of some drizzle, maybe some measurable precipitation. In the meantime, you have this to wake up to tomorrow morning, some low cloud cover. This is our time lapse from Malibu today. So, yeah, the moisture's pushing in, the onshore flow is taking over, and we know that brings that marine layer in place. It's going to really thicken up for tomorrow morning. In the meantime, it was hot today. Riverside 97, 89 in South Pasadena. This is the last of the hot temperatures, or the warm temperatures, if you will, before things really cool down. For Tuesday and Wednesday, 72 right now in Burbank, downtown at 69. Nice night ahead. Some cloud cover, of course, going to be moving in as that system gets closer and closer. So expect tomorrow to wake up to cloudy skies and some somewhat cool weather as we see this system up here to the northwest move in. In the meantime, high pressure was our weather maker. The last few days, we've had temperatures above average. Here it is, though, this next change, a big change. Look at this huge trough of low pressure. That's going to roll in for Tuesday, Wednesday, and I can show you that here in the future scan and show you what happens after it, in fact. So there goes the ridge of high pressure out of the way on Tuesday. Here comes that onshore flow. Now, the chance of rain or drizzle, measurable precipitation, it looks like will be Wednesday, with temperatures the coolest on Wednesday. Here you go on Wednesday. That ridge is completely out of the way, but by late Wednesday into Thursday, we'll have that ridge of high pressure build back in. You see just a little bit on Thursday, which means temperatures will start going back up. So for tomorrow, this is what you can expect. High temperatures into the 70s in Los Angeles, and this is just one of 2 days of cooler weather. Will actually be cooler on Wednesday, but 76 in LA, 83 only in the IE, 77 Anaheim, Covina, lucky sevens for you guys tomorrow. By Wednesday, in that 70 forecast for LA Metro and Orange County, drizzle, some light rain possible, 71 only, about 10 degrees or so below average. 75 on Thursday, we start that slow warm-up, and it's a real slow one as we go through the weekend with just some morning cloud cover. So just Wednesday will be that chance of showers only. Valleys IE, same for you, down to the lower 70s on Wednesday, getting close to 80 degrees by Sunday and hitting it on Monday, so a gradual warm-up through the week after you get past midweek. And the mountains, some coastal slopes, seeing some of that shower activity with breezy conditions and temperatures dropping down to the lower 60s by Friday for high temperatures. And the high desert, breezy, windy on Wednesday. Looks like you guys will stay dry and somewhat mild on through the forecast. We'll have more weather coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan. Well, it started out as just somebody trying to have a little fun, but now Kern County is getting hit with a plague of creepy clowns. As we reported last week, spooky clowns have been popping up in Bakersfield and nearby towns. And as our Leah Stallworth found out, clown fear has gotten a lot of people on edge.
To get into the Halloween spirit, a couple photographed themselves in clown costumes in the community of Wasco near Bakersfield and posted them on social media. It has gotten a lot of attention, not all of it positive. Copycats have taken it to a whole other frightening level by dressing up like clowns, stalking neighborhoods, and scaring people. Bakersfield police say last week they arrested a teenager who was terrorizing kids in the 800 block of Pacheco Road.
He was dressed as a clown, chasing kids, trying to scare them, and in his words, perpetuating the hoax.
That's a crime?
Annoying juvenile, yeah, that is a crime.
Police say they have gotten upwards of 24 calls within the last week from eyewitnesses claiming they were scared after seeing creepy-looking clowns standing in their neighborhood.
We had one report where a woman called in that said that she saw somebody dressed in a clown costume in front of her residence, and she thought he was armed. Her husband went out to check on it, couldn't find anybody. We went out and checked on it and couldn't find anybody.
Have you seen any of these clowns out and about?
No, I have not, fortunately. I was going outside to lock my car last night, and I thought to myself, God, what if I walk out here and one of those clowns are out there?
Kind of scary?
Just a little bit. So I carried a stick.
I think it's our society is going to pot. It's just a really bad thing.
The Kern County Sheriff's Department is also getting multiple calls about frightening clown sightings.
Yeah, I believe it was Thursday afternoon. We received a report of a person dressed as a clown carrying a knife out in the southeast part of Bakersfield.
Pruitt says deputies responded to the scene and found nothing.
We believe that the calls that we received were, for the most part, pranks that were coming in.
Police want to make it clear there is no law against anyone dressing up like a clown and roaming a neighborhood.
If they want to dress in a clown outfit and walk down the street, ride in a car, that's certainly okay. We would appreciate it if you don't try to frighten people, you don't weld any weapons at anybody or anything like that.
In Bakersfield, Leo Stallworth, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Up next, which cities are refusing to acknowledge Columbus Day?
Plus, where police are hoping this surveillance video will help track down whoever threw a smoke bomb into a crowded restaurant.
And why a popular destination for rock climbers is about to close for 3 years.
The NYPD has released surveillance tape of someone throwing a smoke bomb into a Manhattan restaurant Friday night. The man popped up out of an emergency subway escape hatch, threw the smoke bomb, and then disappeared back underground. About 20 people were in the restaurant. Nobody was hurt. There is no evidence of any connection to terrorism, but this does raise concerns about the difficulty of securing the city's extensive subway system. That man is still on the loose.
It's Columbus Day across the U.S., but in some cities it goes by a different name. People in Seattle are celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. The City Council made the name change a week ago to honor the culture of Native Americans. Some Italians were offended by the move, so they took out a full-page ad in the Seattle Times criticizing the city for disrespecting citizens of Italian ancestry. Cities in Minnesota and South Dakota have also changed Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day.
Coming up, we're updating the evening's top stories next at 8:30, including the investigation into an Ebola scare on board a city bus.
Plus, a local hospital is now armed with a special weapon in the war against Ebola. A closer look straight ahead.
And an earthquake shut down their school 8 months ago. Now angry students and parents are sounding off about more delays.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 8:30, an Ebola scare on a Metro bus. Now investigators want to track down the man they accuse of making a terrorist threat. Hello, I'm Mark Brown, in for David Ona.
And I'm Colleen Sullivan. This is Eyewitness News at 8:30 on LA56. Air 7 HD was live over the scene late this afternoon at Venice and Western Avenues in Lincoln Heights. Deputies say a man wearing a surgical mask told the bus driver that he was infected with Ebola. The man dropped the mask on the floor of the bus and fled the scene. The driver asked to be checked out at a local hospital. Investigators say they believe the incident was a hoax. They hope to identify the suspect through surveillance video. A hospital in Orange County is armed with a special weapon in the war against deadly viruses. They're calling it an Ebola zapping robot. Eyewitness News Orange County reporter Greg Lee introduces us to Gigi and her disease-preventing superpowers.
Meet Gigi. You may not guess this just by looking at it, but this robot can kill Ebola, the enterovirus, and other dangerous, sometimes deadly germs from surfaces and keep them from spreading.
It is the cutting edge, but it's more than that. It's the future. All hospitals will have this someday because it provides that measure of security that you can't provide any other way.
Gigi belongs to St. Joseph Hospital in Orange, one of only 2 hospitals in the county with the technology. San Antonio-based company Xenix makes the germ-killing robots. Once turned on and the room is cleared, it pulses ultraviolet light, or UVC, 25,000 times more powerful than the sun, according to the Xenix website. The hospital says it takes just 5 minutes to disinfect the room. Xenix says the light changes the DNA of the virus, preventing it from spreading.
You turn this on, in every surface it hits, it will kill. It can kill up to 99.9% of the viruses and organisms in that room.
Making it especially useful for hard-to-clean places like the curtains or the bed in a hospital room. While the hospital staff hopes they don't see a strain of Ebola here, they say armed with Gigi, they're ready for just about anything.
We already had, in our opinion, a good way to handle it, but we now have, we think, an even better way to handle it.
Each robot costs about $103,000 to purchase and operate. A donor bought Gigi for St. Joseph and is in the process of buying another. Reporting in Orange, Greg Lee, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Large stretches of the San Andreas Fault are primed for earthquakes of magnitude 6.8 or higher. The U.S. Geological Survey has just determined that about 40 miles of fault lines in Northern California appear to be locked. That means there's no fault creep on those stretches and pressure is building for a major quake. The study also found the Green Valley Fault in Napa and Solano counties appears to be ready for a large earthquake as well. That fault is near the dams and aqueducts that supply much of California's water. Parts of an Orange County school damaged in an earthquake last spring were expected to reopen this fall. But now the school district says it may take several more months to finish repairs. 7 months ago, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake shook loose asbestos and damaged portions of William Fanning Elementary. Soon after gates went up and students in the 2nd through 6th grade were transferred to Laurel while the cleanup took place. But as weeks grew to months, so did the frustration of parents.
Of course it is disappointing. We were hoping that it would be a lot sooner than this, but not a lot we can do about it.
Because of the asbestos abatement work that was done first, there was much more demolition to the interior structure of the building than we anticipated.
The superintendent says he plans to present a new contract that will have these children back in the classroom in 6 months.
It's a popular spot for rock climbers and outdoor enthusiasts, but the southeast side of Lake Paris is about to close for the next few years due to a major renovation by a nearby dam. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan shows us what's being done and why the work is so important.
Big Rock on the south side of Lake Paris is a popular scramble for rock climbers.
9 times out of 10, if you're on the backside of here, there's somebody on that rock.
But climbing isn't the only activity out here.
Just here to do some hiking, some fishing.
I have come back here with my friends to just go hiking, go running.
Not for long, though. Starting Wednesday, the south end of the lake will be closed for perhaps 3 years because of a major rehab project on the Paris Dam. Lake Superintendent John Rowe says there's no way to avoid it. The dam needs a lot of work.
It could be unsafe if there's a big seismic earthquake at a 7.5 or greater.
Especially with all these homes, thousands of them right below the dam.
I have family that actually lives in that area, so, I think it's always been a concern.
To be clear, the state says all of the homes below the dam aren't in any real danger right now because they've kept the water level 25 feet below maximum capacity to ease pressure on the dam. But think about that for a moment. The whole point of this lake in the first place is to store water. And considering the drought, they won't be able to store nearly as much water as they'd like to until these repairs are made.
It's really a needed project so that we can store a lot of water in Southern California in reservoirs.
Rowe wants to remind people that Lake Paris itself will still be open, with no construction activity on the north side. But rock climbing will soon take a back seat. to a project that the state says is important because we don't just need to have a lot of rain in the coming years, we need to have a reliable place to store it. At Lake Paris, Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Nearly 20 people were arrested during a large rally to protest the fatal police shooting of 18-year-old Michael Brown. Several hundred people rallied today in Ferguson, Missouri, where Brown was shot and killed back in August. They're demanding the arrest of Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson, who shot and killed the unarmed black teenager. It was the third straight day of protest. A 10-month-old girl in Louisiana found trapped under the body of her dead father is expected to be released from the hospital today. The baby was hospitalized after being found Friday, dehydrated and suffering from blistering skin. Investigators say it appeared her father was sitting on the edge of a bed when he died suddenly, falling backward onto the child. The baby's 5-year-old brother eventually alerted a neighbor, which led to the discovery. From the condition of the man's body, investigators say he had been dead for days.
Oh, well, 2 young children are hurt, one of them critically when the bounce house they were in lifted by a gust of wind, carried some 40 feet and crashed. ABC's reporter Susan Solney tells us it's just the latest in a series of similar accidents.
It's a high-flying horror becoming far too common. A bounce house filled with children inside taking flight. Now it's happened again, this time at what should have been a fun fall festival at a New Hampshire farm.
A bouncy house has blown away and landed back down.
This morning, 2 toddlers are injured, one critically, after strong wind launched an inflatable house they were playing in as high as 30 feet into the air. Then it traveled about 50 feet before crashing down in this apple orchard.
There are multiple patients. One is unconscious.
It just kind of flipped and came straight down.
A 2-year-old boy was airlifted to a Boston hospital. His 3-year-old brother is also hospitalized. The bounce house owner says it wasn't secured to the ground because it wasn't ready to be used.
It was in a restricted area. It wasn't open. It wasn't open to the public.
But the father of one of the injured boys says there was no sign that the bounce house was not open.
There was no indication that it was closed. And again, like I said, I asked how much was it, and they said it was free.
This is just the latest accident. Earlier this month, surveillance video in China captured a bounce house flipping over, injuring 14. In July, a dust devil in Nevada launched an inflatable slide 300 feet, injuring 2. Experts say these popular children's attractions must be supervised and always securely staked to the ground. Susan Solney, ABC News, Washington.
Dramatic video shows the collapse of a building in San Francisco during a planned demolition. Take a look. You can see the building going crashing down as a backhoe rips the front of the structure off. The collapse sent debris flying into the street. Firefighters were called to the scene to clear the large debris pile out of traffic. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Many of the businesses in the area were closed for Columbus Day. Building inspectors are investigating the incident.
A kitten trapped in a storm drain in Mission Viejo for 5 days has finally been rescued. Last Wednesday, Animal Services officers tried in vain to coax the kitten out. Firefighters lowered a camera down but couldn't spot anything. Today, though, success. The kitten was lured out of the drain by some tuna inside a humane trap. He's now being treated at the Animal Medical Center in Mission Viejo and will soon be back to normal and ready for adoption. Sounds like you might want him.
People are going to be lining up for that little baby. Listen, I would love it, but I have a dog that's wild about cats, so I don't know. Up next, how a common vegetable could help the fight to find a cure for autism.
Plus, a change in diet could help children with asthma live symptom-free. The simple fix.
Jonathan Novak here. Some of the low clouds in Malibu today and all along the coast. We got more of them tomorrow. On top of that, rain and colder weather in your 7-day forecast. Stick around.
Potentially exciting news in treating autism. An extract taken from broccoli sprouts may help some patients. Researchers from Harvard studied 40 boys with autism. Some received a broccoli extract known as sulforaphane. Others got a placebo. The boys in the extract group showed significant improvement in social interaction, verbal communication, and behavior compared to those in the placebo group. However, the positive changes went away as soon as the boys stopped taking it. Since it was a very small study, a larger group will now need to be studied.
When symptoms flare up, not only is asthma miserable, it can be life-threatening. Almost 1 in 11 children in the U.S. struggles with it. But now, as health specialist Denise Dodor reports, thanks to a new study, experts say children with chronic asthma may have a chance at living symptom-free.
Asthma attacks used to be a regular part of 14-year-old Arturo Vega's life.
I like cooking bistec and arroz, like rice and beans.
Now Arturo is using his kitchen know-how to adopt a healthier lifestyle. A new study finds avoiding certain fatty foods and adding omega-3 fish oils to the diet may help decrease asthma symptoms in kids.
Perhaps having more of this healthy type of fat that has an anti-inflammatory effect, could it actually help treat asthma and treat the inflammation with asthma?
Doctors also say overweight asthma patients are at a disadvantage.
When kids are obese, they respond to the normal asthma medicines in a reduced manner.
A is 1/4 of a cup of food.
As part of the study, Arturo logs the food he eats and takes an omega-3 supplement.
Since May, he don't use the medicine for the asthma.
Arturo says he hasn't had an asthma attack since he started the study, and he has more energy. He's hoping to use his experience and his passion for cooking to become a future healthy celebrity chef.
Dr. Lang is in the process of extending the study until May 2016. Experts hope these findings will add to the growing evidence that diet can have a positive impact on overweight children with asthma. In the newsroom, Denise Dodor, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
It'll soon be time to head out to the pumpkin patch and pick out one for Halloween, but you'll need a flatbed for one of these. It's the annual Pumpkin Way Off World Championship in Half Moon Bay, just south of San Francisco. And this year's competition was one for the history books. John Hockley of Napa Valley shattered the state record with his 2,058-pound pumpkin. He just missed the world record by a couple hundred pounds.
I gave up a lot of weekends where my wife wanted to go someplace and I wouldn't go. I took some time off work because it was so much work this year with the hot weather.
Wow. Now he can take his wife out with his winnings. He got more than $13,000, $6 a pound for his giant pumpkin. Actually, he says he's going to use some of it to repair his house, which was damaged in the Napa earthquake this past summer.
Quite a pumpkin. Cooler temperatures, even possible rain in the forecast. Jonathan Novak has the details up next.
What's coming in sports? The Bruins started with high expectations, but now they're looking to salvage their season.
And gas prices moving lower, but why and how long can this last? It looks like a butterfly in space. These spectacular images were captured by NASA's Hubble telescope. They show what is called the Butterfly Nebula. It's an intermediate mass star that is in its death throes, sadly, which accounts for the great clouds of superheated gas it's expelling into space. The Butterfly Nebula is 3,800 light years from us in the Milky Way.
Wow, that is a pretty spectacular picture.
That's right down the street.
Yeah, right.
That's a beautiful picture. Yeah.
Hey, what else is beautiful is that you said maybe rain in the forecast.
Yeah, maybe some, well, for sure clouds, cooler weather, and actually I think some light rain. Very possible. Okay, good. I love it. This is what we've got from earlier today, and actually, we're actually going to look at that in a second. I have a good time lapse for you. First, some rain to the north of us. I want to show you the live Meganopolis 7000 HD. We're dry now, guys, but check it out up to the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Portland. You see the rain right there in the corner of the country? That is the system, or associated with the system, if you will, that will be bringing us the cooler weather, the clouds, which we had some this morning, and some of that rain that we were just making mention of. And this is our time lapse from LAX. I love this. Beautiful. With the cars going at, that is a time lapse. Yeah, I know, don't mistake that for just normal LA traffic there. Clouds at the coast right now, and all the way even into downtown. Today's highs, I want you to remember one in particular. We're going to look at it in a minute here. Riverside was 97. Well, I'm going to show you what we're going to have for tomorrow. It's a huge change. Long Beach, though, 76. Northridge, you're at 92. It's a warm to hot day, and it was the last of that before the system rolls through and changes things up. Big flip-flop in the weather. 72 right now in Burbank. There's the clouds again at LAX. 68, this is a current shot. And then downtown has some partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. 69 degrees. It's current temperature. 75 Santa Clarita. Some of the valley areas holding on to some of the heat from today. 72 in Burbank, 77 Van Nuys. But in the upper 60s at the coast and right around 70, give or take, from Riverside over to Fullerton and down to the south in Santa Ana and in Temecula. High pressure has been our weather maker. That's what's given us the nice warm weather the last few days. You see that ridge right there, that arc in the atmosphere. Off to the west, though, is the big change. This big trough of low pressure, big system. There's the low way up to the north. I'm going to put this into motion on the future scan. It shows you the pattern in the atmosphere, shows you where the energy is in the atmosphere as well. I want you to watch how this ridge of high pressure moves to the east and is replaced by an onshore flow right here as we see that trough of low pressure move into the west coast. That will last for Tuesday and Wednesday before weak high pressure builds back in on Thursday. So we got 2 days, big drop in the temperatures, below average, morning clouds, some fog at the coast, and what did I miss? Cooler temperatures? Well, some rain chances? It's all in there, folks. 63 in the morning to wake you up in LA. Some cloud cover here at the coast, even pushing into some of the valley locations, and that's going to hang on, especially at the coast, for most of the day. So we're going to call it, oh, there are your highs. We're going to call it partly cloudy to mostly cloudy day for us here in Southern California. So here, let's take a look at that 7-day forecast, and that will give you an idea of what to expect for temperatures in the afternoon. Tomorrow, 76. All right, on Tuesday, and that's 7-day. 71 on Wednesday. By the way, as we go through Riverside, we look at the valleys, and that's 7-day forecast, and the IE, 80 degrees, 83 in Riverside. A huge drop. Remember I showed you the 97 from today? Huge drop to 83 tomorrow. 80 in some other locations in the valleys and IE with some light rain possible on Wednesday. Temperatures down into the lower 70s. Mountains, most of the forecast in the 60s. A little bit of light rain on the coastal slopes on Wednesday. The high desert will keep you dry on Wednesday, but breezy. Temps in the upper 70s. That's it for me. Have a great night. Dallas has more at 11.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jonathan. Yeah. Now to sports. The past 2 weeks has been a national disaster for UCLA. Their national title dreams were erased over the weekend, and now the Humboldt Bruins play 3 of their next 4 games on the road. Their game against Oregon was ugly from sideline to sideline, and even on the sidelines. The TV cameras caught defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich handing his headset and then arguing with head coach Jim Mora. The Ducks moved the ball up and down the field at will, finding the end zone 6 times on 9 possessions. The Bruins' second straight loss has dropped them out of the top 25. Last season, UCLA lost 2 in a row and then rebounded to win 5 of their last 6 games. They must do better than that if they want to salvage their season.
I think it's just learning the same thing as last year. Understanding that, going forth, we still got to play our game and our brand of football. It's not playing against anybody. It's playing against our own standards in UCLA football, and that's really what it comes down to.
Well, to me, it was still disappointing. It's still upsetting. It's all those things. I really hate losing. So we just got to collectively as a group just come together and put down that foot and just say we can't stand it anymore.
Mother Nature did something today. The A's, the Angels, and the Orioles haven't been able to do so far, and that slowed down the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have yet to lose a playoff game during the postseason. Tonight's Game 3 of the ALCS has been postponed until tomorrow because of rain. Now to the ice. The Ducks continuing their road trip in Buffalo. Corey Perry off to a nice start to the season. In the first period, off the power play, Perry nets his 4th goal of the season for a 1-0 lead. Anaheim outshot Buffalo 44-12. Ducks rookie William Karlsson, playing just his 2nd NHL game, lit the lamp twice for his first 2 career goals. The Ducks win their 2nd straight, 5-1, the final.
Falling oil prices mean we're seeing prices drop at the pump. They're at their lowest level since February. And as Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes shows us, prices could continue to go down even further.
It's the break American drivers have been waiting for. They are paying the lowest September gas prices in 4 years.
We're saving a lot of money now.
Just how much money are we saving? The Automobile Club of Southern California says the average price of a gallon of regular is $3.63. That's down 7 cents from a week ago, down 17 cents from a month ago, and down $1.08 from the September peak of $4.71 a gallon back in 2012.
What's important, I do 138 miles a day, round trip. So, yeah, it can have a big effect on my monthly expenses.
We've had 3 straight months of declines, and in the last week, the prices have been going down by about a penny a day.
AAA's Marie Montgomery says we can thank a series of fortunate conditions for our recent price drop. Everything from a lack of hurricanes to the end of the summer driving season.
We are going into this lower demand time of year. It seems like there's no supply issues at our local refineries, and all is good right now.
But these days, cheap gas is still not cheap enough. Drivers we spoke with say they do enjoy the lower prices, but they dream of a bygone era.
I wish they were back down to 25 cents a gallon or whatever when I was a kid.
I wish they could go back to $1.31, which is back in 2002 maybe?
Those prices may be a pipe dream, but the good news is AAA is predicting still lower prices. Regular gas, they say, perhaps around $3.30 a gallon in the coming weeks. But whenever it comes to sinking gas prices, drivers get a sinking feeling.
I wish the gas prices would go down another dollar like they said they would, but they never do.
In Burbank, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And more news straight ahead here at 8:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Daredevils make quite a splash at a pool party. The amazing video. And a 31-year holiday tradition is in big trouble tonight. How you can help a local limo company feed thousands of hungry families. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News 11 on ABC7.
An amazing discovery in a field in Scotland. A retired businessman has unearthed a Viking treasure trove. 47-year-old Derek McLennan discovered the treasure last month thanks to a metal detector. He found more than 100 different artifacts, including a silver cross thought to date back as far as the 9th century. Experts are in the process of determining how much this discovery is worth. The collection could eventually be put on public display.
A big Halloween party at Children's Hospital of Orange County. Spirit of Children hosted the event, which included costumes, games, and crafts. There was even an appearance by the Power Rangers Super Mega Force. The goal of the event is to make hospitals a little less scary for pediatric patients and their families.
We thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at 8:30 on LA56. Law and Order SVU is next.
And Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com. We will see you back here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Have a great night.
Good night.